Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dom.
Hey, Ryan, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Can you not hear me, Ryan?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello? Ah, I can hear you. There you go.
You can hear me now?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, maybe I turned this down. I didn't even know I did.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. It's,
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Still can't? You let me know. So I got you. We paused.
Connect. All right, let's give it a second. Give it a second. How about now?
I heard you fine before. Can you hear me? No?
Yeah. Now I got you. Now I got you.
Okay.
I was getting
cool.
a lot of like paused and delayed and like, so I had to, again, even though I knew going into the show, I had to shut the Wi-Fi off, and then it takes a good 10 seconds to reload the show for me.
Oh, I
But
gotcha.
we're all good. We're here. Good morning. Good morning, David.
Little help starting the week with your little technical difficulty, but you handle it like a pro. So it's all good.
Yep.
This weekend for you, party with the fam at the house.
Yeah.
Little Paul.
Yep. Yep. It was a good day. Everybody showed up except one family. They had unfortunately they had a loss in their family. A grandmother passed away over the weekend. Thankfully, they were able to um, kind of adjust their plans for the weekend and go out and see her one last time.
Mm.
But I think the loss went a little hard, so they opted out, which, totally fine and understandable. But the rest of the families came through, and we had a good time in the pool.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm so glad that was able to happen. You and I are the same age. This is that time of life where I think we start seeing, I think, this next generation and the last generation, this shakiness in terms of death and, I think challenging moments within the family. And it's interesting because you start to see some of your friends maybe that didn't really have some of these challenges start to step up a little bit or have to step back in some cases in life too. And it's, we start seeing people around us in a different, with different priorities. And I think with different challenges that are coming up and, I think maybe who they are deep down, all that. It's a very interesting moment in life, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Do you feel like you're seeing that too with your friends?
A little bit, yeah. Um, it's definitely, I mean, it's always something that, like we've talked about before, like everybody going through seasons and stuff like that. Like I'm on my last grandparent right now, and where that's who we're going out to see this weekend. We're going out to Arizona to see my grandmother, my mom's mom.
Mhm.
My wife has no longer has any grandparents around. And then I think thankfully our parents, so our kids' grandparents, I think we still got a good 20, 30 years, 40 years,
Yeah.
50 years, whatever you want
Okay.
to call it, left with all of
Yeah.
them. But yeah. Sorry to start it so dark, everybody, in the morning. How was how was your weekend, buddy?
No, I don't think it's dark. I think it's just reality of kind of how things are. It's a good reminder. I think if anything, I think people need a little bit of a, I think people in their life, they need some competition. I think they need a little bit of pressure. I think they need a little bit of a boundary of certain things and a reminder that, yeah, life is fragile. So, as dark as it might seem, I think it's a necessary reminder for almost everybody. But the weekend itself, yeah, over here, I think it was pretty good. I think it was it wasn't one of the busier weekends at all. I know Lauren had taken the girls to the American Doll store over here because they received that was their prize for finishing out their kindness chart, which was
Oh,
a
sweet.
good thing to see. Some birthdays, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like I keep like waiting for like the weekends to get like crazy. I know we have like softball coming up, which is new for us. We haven't really had, um, during the week we do gymnastics a lot. Lauren really kind of takes care of the back and forth. She was a gymnast and she's a cheerleader, and so she likes all those things. But we haven't
Hmm.
like had like this. I guess maybe when Sloan was younger, but it was like an easy kind of like out. Like we'd have soccer, we'd have something else, but it was like they're just learning, they're just there for fun. But I think like we're finally like Sloan's at least at the age she's 8 where you know um, you have to show up for the team, right? Whether you want to be there or not, you got to show up, got to finish out the season. So, and I think it's also where you start to see the kids that have like really good skill, kids that still need to work on it. And then there is going to be that dichotomy between like the starters and maybe the people on the bench or like whatever's going on. So I'm kind of curious about how this is all going to come about.
Yeah, it starts to go from like what I'm in with Bentley, the once a week, like 45-minute class to like the two practices and a game a week or something like that. It gets a little
Hmm.
bit more intense on the family schedule, and that the kid gets the chance or the opportunity to put in actual effort and see results, and get to know what it's like to be like more invested in something, like, and put your time in, and see what happens
Yeah. I think
as you
it's,
grow.
yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And selfishly, I'm like, how am I going to show up as a parent? It always makes me think about my dad stepping up to coach my soccer team and did it for years. And like watching or looking back and being like, oh yeah, it didn't seem that hard. And now I look at it, and I'm like, oh my God, how did he do all that?
you're gonna
So
you're gonna go like you're gonna go one season, and then you're gonna have to write your dad a big thank you letter.
yeah,
um
You know what? That is totally a I feel like I look back and I wouldn't say he did it selfishly, but I think he like really enjoyed it though. Like I think that, there were
yeah.
hard times obviously, but I think that he really did like it wasn't a dad that was asked to step up and like he resented it. He didn't. I think he really did enjoy taking care of. He was a teacher, he was like an athlete too. So it was definitely I think within his wheelhouse of capability and talent and mindset. But yeah, it does. It just takes a lot of time, and then that's not even like taking into account like the travel schedule. Like
Hmm.
it was soccer turned into travel soccer. It was weekends away and all that kind of stuff. But again, I think that he really did enjoy it all. So
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I definitely enjoyed it when I did it with both Bailey and Brooklyn.
mhm.
My thing was more along the lines of like, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a coach, and I didn't go hardcore and play into any sports. So I always felt like I was doing, the team a disservice. So but I really loved like being there and doing the stuff that I could do, and then having good, solid, assistant coaches to help actually teach the fundamentals and get the girls doing what they needed to do while I just
You
managed the
felt you
program.
felt you were a disservice? I mean, I feel like the beard gives you at least 50% confidence, no?
I don't know that I had the beard back then, but yes,
God,
of course. Um, yeah, it's getting long. I need to trim it.
Good morning,
But
Jason.
yeah, good morning, Jason. Good morning, MP. Paul, how's everyone doing? I'm sure Dylan's listening in as he's driving. Um, yeah, how are we doing? Do you have an answer to this question from David? Do your kids know their ancestry and the stories? My answer is no.
Your
Simple.
answer is no. Why do you feel as when you finally answer no, do you have a sense of a need to step up and now tell them that, or do you feel like there is another feeling underneath that there? Are
Um,
you like, oh, I've missed this moment. They
for
should know these things.
No, for me, it's like, and there's a little bit like, that you guys know a little about my family or my connection to my family is like my family is it's very much one of those families that grew up like not talking about things and and maybe it all there's also a good portion of it that was me not interested in asking the questions or learning about these things. And so I think for me, it's gotten to a point where it's like I'd rather just rewrite and write my own stories and ancestry with my children and
Oh man,
me, than
I like this
than
thought. This is a
try to
deep thought.
focus and do research on what my family was or how they came from and all those things. Good morning,
Good morning.
Jason.
Good morning, guys. Don't let me interrupt.
It's all good. It's all good. Don was just letting us know how he is rewriting history with his family.
Legacy, the exalted one.
Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed listening to you guys yesterday and the day before that.
How was your trip, man? Give us a quick little rundown on how amazing that trip was. Did you guys have a good time?
Did I not do that yet? Trip was
Oh
good.
well, maybe I wasn't here.
I think within our text conversations, you did.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trip was good. Definitely recharged, relaxed, rejuvenated, and any of the other Reeves. Like great family time. Some really good discussions, and just like hanging out without a place that has a TV.
Yeah.
Talked about a 5-year plan, which I like talked briefly about on Saturday, I think.
Oh yeah, you did talk to us about
I
this.
think
Yeah.
I was inspired by a coworker of mine that's retiring. Just some really good reflection time. Like a week of thinking about all the stuff we do in the morning and how I use that as an operating system this past almost year now.
Wait,
Uh,
you had shared this with the family?
what the 5-year plan part?
Oh no,
Hmm.
about you sharing your morning routine.
Oh, not vocally.
Okay, no,
We
I
talked
just
about it
I thought
before.
you said
They
you
all
did.
know what the heck I do down here in the basement when I rush down
Mhm.
here in the mornings. It's just something. It was a space where I could think about the things that we discuss and am I actually doing the things that we're talking about in the mornings. That's something I've been thinking about recently. Is
Yeah.
like it's am I all talk? Am I some talk? Am I doing the
Mm.
things that I like talking about with you guys? So yeah, it was good. That's my that will give me gratitude for this entire week.
Can I say something about what you just said about questioning, am I doing everything we talk about? I think
Yeah.
that the idea, the understanding is that, a lot of what we are talking about here and bringing up and picking at some scabs looking towards the future. It is putting, I think, parenting on a fast track. I think faster than a lot of people are able to move, especially as our families get busier and bigger, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. So I think that especially when we like in a month, I think we can hear at least 15 stories of a very successful historical figure that did all these things, and that they've lived a life, like a full life, within 3 years. And it can feel like you're behind a little bit. But I always look at these, and I've needed to slow myself down too. I hope you are. Is that none of this is going to be linear, that you can really inject it right away and then find success.
Doggy break.
Okay, got it. I'm glad this important moment is being it's used. But no, it really, I think it really is. I think it is like, the more you focus on this and you become so hyper aware of like what you can do, what other people have done, and you're hearing other people kind of say these things too. It's like you can feel like you're always behind. Dom, do you agree with that?
I lost you for a second there too. I'm so sorry, but I did figure out how to ban someone, so that's good news. But going to the start of your thing and what Jason was saying, yes, I do feel the accountability section of this is something that I may need to put more emphasis on, or like circle back on some of this stuff that we discuss, and like how it actually, changes or takes effect into like my parenting, life, or my strategies with my kids or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think sorry that my dogs interrupted you, Ryan. I really enjoyed where you were going with that last point. I don't necessarily feel like things are speeding up, and I think that's what you're getting at. Time definitely feels more heavy, though. I would say that, like with all the focus that we do, like on this, and just kind of giving time to like all the stuff that kind of falls between the cracks of the day. It does make the day and the passage of time feel heavy.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's also spring, it's cold out, and we're not quite too far away from December yet, which was a rough month. But
I feel like I acted like a toddler this morning. I like walked outside not knowing exactly how it was going to feel, and like knowing that I'm just so done. I just need some warmth and me to get away. But I feel like I like walked outside and stomped my foot, and I was like, no, it's so cold. It was like, because it says it's like 40 degrees out, but like 40 degrees up here can be a warm day or a cold day. So I was like, this is not fun. Anyway, yeah.
I'm not going to tell you guys what temperature it is out here. We'll just skip over that.
Don't even talk about it.
You're still wearing a hoodie.
It is 5 a.m.
I did enjoy, speaking of the passage of time and the weight of time. I enjoyed today's reading much more than yesterday's.
Nice.
It's a little more humble as the adult in our parents' lives. Main point is, what are you giving your kids that maybe you didn't have as a kid? Ryan, I think something that maybe we didn't have is two parents at home all the time. And obviously no fault of mom, but that's something that was just a part of our lives. That mom had to work a lot and dad was at home and he was teaching, so he could be there in the summers and all that jazz. I would say I totally did 180 on that. And we are like surrounded, like most of our time, our free downtime is together. Going into COVID, like my experience from COVID is that was the best family time that I could ever imagine having.
That's awesome.
And I know that's not for everybody. I know a lot of people struggled. Based on the circumstances. There's just one little observation I had. We were biking down the road, and we went past this park with this family just like
David,
mom.
as Jason is talking, Jason, your point is great, and we're going to get to in a second. David, can you just give me a little bit more about like what you saw in the mirror when you talk about that emotional intelligence? Sorry, Jason. Great time.
That's okay.
COVID worked out for you guys. That was great. I wanted to make sure we didn't miss a moment for David to share more on that.
Just the first point where like I really realized that like we were in a good family spot was we went past the park, saw this small family, mom, dad, and a kid, and both parents were just like railing on the kid verbally, not physically. And the
What did
story that
that kid do to the parents?
I think this was like a month in, and I think they were just so sick of each other. The story that I put together in my head was like the parents worked all the time, and now they're finally forced to like spend time together,
Mhm.
and maybe not knowing how that goes. I mean, we had rough patches too, but that was my COVID takeaway. I'll never want to get rid of that ever. Thoughts? Time together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I my thing with what is different from my family, from what I grew up in, that I'm trying to make known in my kid's life. The biggest difference is um, the marriage, the relationship. So you guys know that I'm trying to, you know, take the lessons that I learn here and the morning routine and bring it back home to be a better husband, more than anything. I think I've always had a pretty good solid take on being a good dad, because again, growing up with a basically raised by my single mother, my emphasis from the day I had a kid was always I was going to be a good dad. But then I think when I thought more about it, I'm like, I also need to show my kids what a good marriage and a good relationship looks like. And so that's why, second, or you'd call it tied for first priority for me is making sure I'm showing them a good marriage, a good relationship with my wife, all those things.
Hmm.
That's been very important for me. And then same like you, Jason, like COVID for us, because we followed the rules for the most part, and so did most people in our family close to us. So no one, thankfully, in our lives got very ill or very sick or passed away or anything like that. So we were very lucky in that sense. And then secondarily, like because of the flexibility of my job, um, we were able to kind of take advantage of it and come together really tight as a family, go on a couple of really fun trips where normally it would be crowded and it wasn't. So we have some really good core memories of like that first year. I think the only downside for Bailey was like basically missing out on like a year and a half to 2 years of like the transition from grade school to middle school.
Ugh, man, it must be so tough.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think sixth grade is like one of the hardest years. So I think she kind of lucked out too. So there's like, you know, both, right? It's like bummer I didn't get to be there, but at the same time, like coming into a new school as a sixth grader, I've heard and I know from Brooklyn doing it right now that it's tough.
Tom, I like that I like that you're connecting the book and what we discussed to like to your partnership too. That's something I started finding a lot of value in over the past few months. Um, is there something that you've changed or added to your marriage recently based on readings?
I think the biggest thing that I've changed is not so much based on the readings, but like based on like what I'm doing with you guys, or like within like the Be Friends community and all that, is just like stepping up my game of like communication and like getting to not getting to know my wife, but like getting more curious about like just her life, like what she does every day, like what her conversations are with her friends, and just being a little bit more communicative with her. and trying to like figure out like kind of like how we sit here and like instead of just like saying how our weekend is, we kind of like ask a little bit more like one layer deeper of a question of like, you know, and so just doing that same thing with her. That's what's helped me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, especially with communication. Um, if I might sum that up, it's been a big help in moving out of the roommate stage of marriage, which when I kind of think about prior to the past year-ish, I would say we were definitely in that point where it was like, default was we know everything about each other. We'll go on dates because we're married, but I think we were by and large letting the kids and our jobs kind of take the pedestal there. So yeah, I find the same value in that you do, that you just said.
Hearing you guys talk, I know that I'm having a harder time with the idea of, especially that like relationship side. I feel like you guys are very comfortable in that right now. I find I'm not so much at the moment, and I think it's just kind of confusing. And it's probably the one thing that I'm probably thinking that I'm not really able to change as much from our childhood, and I've always wanted to. And I think it's like one of those thoughts that I was like thinking of questions earlier to always ask, not just you guys, but to ask myself about like, have you ever caught yourself repeating a pattern from your own upbringing, and how can you identify or intentionally choose a different path for your kids? And so I think that one thing in terms of the relationship is probably I'm not doing as well as I want to be doing. And I think that's the one thing, especially where like David's talking about like being a mentor and like showing exactly what you want to kind of do. I think it's probably the weakest area that I'm able to work on right now that I feel like is repeating a little bit. And I think that the idea of like stepping up, I don't know exactly like where it is to step up at the moment. I feel like I do. I feel like it's scary to think about some thoughts, but it's like just to step up and fix some of those things is just where I feel least confident at the moment. So kudos to you guys for like being in that position, and also thanks for being here so I can kind of reset my thought on it and just make sure it's a focus.
Yeah, I think both like we three know that, right? Like we've talked about this before on here. And I mean, I know that Jason just said it, but I'll double down on it. Like it wasn't like this for me and Amy a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like we went through some definite hard years. So like you mentioned all the time, like it's a season. Like it's a season. The roommate stage of the marriage is a season I think everyone kind of goes through as you kind of like stabilize after. I mean, I like to say like when I referenced, actually funny enough, on Saturday we were at the basketball game and a couple walks up and sits in front of us, and they have a newborn baby, and my wife just lights up and she's like, "Oh my God, look how cute." Da, 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 da. And she's like, "Can we have another one?" And I'm like, I looked at her like I'm like, it was like so many emotions came out of my face that I'm sure she knew and expected, but I was like, honey, we just got through like 6 of the hardest years of our life to date, like our relationship, like, and we're in the good spot. Like we just like 6 years ago, before we had Bentley, when Brooklyn was 6, we had the 6 previous hard years of our life, and we were in the good spot. And then you said, we're having another one. I'm like, all right. So I knuckled under and I did that one. And here we are again. Like we're in the good place. Like I go on the Daily Dads in the morning and tell my friend Ryan about how amazing it is to have friends, and my kids are so grown and they almost are so independent and stuff like that. I'm like, but absolutely not.
I love babies. I love looking at them from a distance.
Yeah, I love other people's babies.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could not imagine having another kid right now. Just from the standpoint of me, but I've also always been, I'm going to give myself some credit, and because I am being hard on myself. I don't know if you guys can see or hear it maybe in my voice, but
Absolutely.
the one thing that I probably have been, that I probably stepped up the most, and I was like, we're not having 3 kids. I was like, we're not. And Lauren wasn't really pushing for 3, but I was like, we're not having 3 kids. And I always felt, because like I wouldn't even be, me, just myself, would not be able to give enough emotion, just like physical and emotional presence to my kids if I had 3. And it always made me nervous to, quote unquote, forget about one of my kids. But I always wanted to remain at least somewhat available. And I caught that early. And I'm even more grateful that we didn't go down that route, to be like, oh, let's just test it out, right? It wouldn't have been possible. So I'm going to have to give myself credit there.
Yeah, Ryan, you should. I would say that, yes, you are definitely hard on yourself. Probably don't give yourself enough credit. And I think one of the things that you're really good at is, like, when I think of a super aware parent, you're at the top of the list for sure. And that might be something that you felt as a kid, like, you are constantly checking in on the pulse of your kids, it seems like. And I think just a product of the time that we grew up in, that wasn't a thing that happened. Talk about latchkey kids, talk about, one parent being away. A lot of families were in the same situation. We mostly had each other, and I don't really remember ever getting very close until, like, the past 10, 12 years. So I think part of that is definitely missing from our lives, that I think we're both very good at turning around.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's one, I remember you always blowing your nose in my clothes and being like, it's gonna get washed anyway. 2, I remember definitely being at a point when we would end up getting closer, and yeah, it was definitely good to kind of like share those thoughts and experiences. And I really hope that my girls can share their experiences earlier on in their life than maybe like we did too. It's not like a regret or like, oh, it should have happened or we missed a moment, but I think that going up, and maybe like sisters are closer that way, I don't know, but it'll be good. Anyway, I know it's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna have to jump over here. I love you guys. David, thank you so much. David was really kind of putting some thoughts and questions out from the couch this morning. So David, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, thanks, David. Good. Yeah, good stuff. I always enjoy when people chime in with notable notes. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. It is Monday, Jason. I know that we did it one time and then not again. I think things got busy. If you do want to show up tonight, if you want to do a more relationship focused, Daily Dads After Dark kind of thing, let me know. I'll leave it open to you to let me know if you want to do it. And Dom, obviously, we'd love to put you up there as well, just because you drive the conversation so well. But
yeah,
Jason,
I can hang out.
I'm down for it. I think it's I had a good time last time, and now that's already like a month and a half ago. So yeah, we'd love to make that a regular thing. For sure.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, maybe we'll do it tonight. All right, guys. Love you.
Right, see you guys.
Cheers. Coffee, mugs, hearts.
Everybody have a great day.
All right. See ya. Bye.
All right. Chat. Everybody in the background. We'll see you tomorrow. Play this song. There we go. Peace.